You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, Black and White sports fans in the state of Washington, males will still be allowed to invade women's sports because the vote was held to actually see whether or not they would continue to allow males, transgenders to actually play in female sports. A vote was taken and it failed. It failed by a grand total of 1 vote. Now, this was not the state legislature, folks. This was the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association, pretty much the governing body of sports in the state of Washington. It failed by 1 vote, folks, because it did not reach the 60% threshold to actually take effect. And anyway, it wouldn't have done anything anyway, because it is against the law in Washington state to actually stop a male from playing female sports. Yes, this is how crazy Washington state is, folks. I mean, I don't know what's going to be done about Washington state. The only thing that can be done, really, guys, is for the people up there in Washington to change their voting habits. Stop voting for these politicians that just openly tell you, hey, we want males and female sports. But I highly doubt, man, that the people in Washington state are actually going to change their voting habits. I mean, Washington state is a leftist state. Just that simple, man. Those politicians up there, those Democrats are extremely radical. So let's go ahead, guys, and look at this. Right over here. Proposal to ban trans athletes in Washington state fails by 1 vote. A proposal to block males from competing in girls' sports failed to pass the youth sports governing body in Washington state by a single vote. On Monday, the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association, WIAA for short, announced that the measure, an advisory amendment, only since banning trans athletes currently runs afoul of Washington state law, earned 31 votes in favor and 22 opposed. While achieving the majority of votes, the measure fell by 1 vote to win the 60% threshold needed to pass. Quote, Amendment number 7 received 31 votes in favor and 22 against passing it, just 1 vote shy of being approved. A second amendment, number 8, would have created a separate open division for transgender athletes in Washington state. It also would restrict both boys and girls sports to only allowing athletes who were born with that set to birth. Amendment number 8 was much further from passing, with just 13 votes for and 40 against. Now, guys, even if they actually pass this amendment number 8, the open division, it's been tried before. And guess what? No athlete signed up. None. Because they truly want to actually participate against mainly the women. So let's go ahead, guys, and look at this clip right over here. And this is actually a local Washington news station over here. Let's play this clip.
I've heard from a female student athlete and her mom about this vote, and the fact that both of these amendments failed really just leaves the status quo, which they and other female athletes say is absolutely unacceptable.
Students in our state can participate in sports based on their gender identity. The amendment to change that failed in this WIAA vote, along with another amendment that would have created a 3rd division for school sports, an open division, in addition to boys and girls divisions.
There's so few students that actually identify as transgender and participate in sports that we don't see it, in a large majority of our events.
But young female athletes like Frances Stout, who's had words and more with a transgender athlete.
And we'll get back to her because we actually talked about her before.
On the basketball court, told me in a text that she and others have worked way too hard to allow biological boys and men in girls and women's sports. She wrote, "Our school administrators and the WIAA have failed us. Even before the vote, the WIAA knew that both of these amendments, if passed, could not be enforced since both would be in violation of current state law. Stout's mom, Amy, told me in a text that they are disappointed and their fight is far from over. She said they will hold the line and continue to fight for all girls, just like Frances, who want a fair and safe place to compete.
Anyone pulling out or not staying with the association because of this?
Not today.
By the way, I want you to know that the vote, or the amendment, I should say, failed by just one vote. It needed 32 to pass, and it only had 31 votes, Mary.
Denise, if the amendments wouldn't have complied with state law, why take this vote to begin with?
Well, I certainly asked Hoffman that. That was one of my unanswered questions, and he let me know that they have 800 member schools in the association, and if just 5 come forward with an amendment, their policy is they have to put it forth, they have to at least put it to a vote. So that's why they did it, because that is what they had to do by their policy.
What happens now? What happens next for those seeking change?
Well, the only way that this really can change is by state law. So people who are very upset by this, who want change, they should probably talk to their lawmakers, see if they can get them to move on this at all and get others involved.
And they're not going to do it because they're Democrats. These people are going to have to stop voting Democrat if they actually want change.
The other option is to go through the state's initiative process, because that is another way that you can work on changing state law. We'll keep watching to see if anybody does that, Mary.
Denise, thank you. Time now for tonight's Come On Pulse poll. Do you think
Look at this.
transgender student athletes should be allowed to play girls' sports? Take a look at the live results coming in.
Look at that. Only 6% said yes. 93% said no. This is in Washington State, folks. The vast majority of these people do not want males and female sports. Now, they actually mentioned Frances Staub. And if you guys remember back in February of this year, 2025, teen faces civil rights complaints after refusing to play against trans basketball player. Yes. So that was Frances Staub. She's 15 years old. And she actually sat down with Fox News. And they were actually trying to punish her for not actually playing against a transgender. I knew the name actually rang a bell. And it's pretty ridiculous, man, that they launched an investigation on her for, quote unquote, misgendering the transgender opponent. Yeah. This is how crazy it is. Says here, after warming up for the February 7th game, Frances notified a coach of her refusal to play against the quite obvious biological male spotted on the opposing team. Amy said she then approached the school athletic director, and that's the mother, who allegedly responded that the school will not discriminate based on sexual identity in accordance with Washington state law. Wow. I mean, guys, you got to stop voting Democrat. Got to stop doing it up there. And that's going to be a real uphill climb in Washington State, which is very blue. Very, very blue, guys. So it's an uphill climb. That's part of the reason, guys, why a lot of people are actually leaving these crazy states, you know, especially on the West Coast. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. You don't have to deal with that madness, man. But there you have it, man. The vote fails by 1 vote, which wouldn't have done much anyway based on the law. They actually put that in law, guys, that women, you got to toughen it up and play against males. How crazy is that? That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.